So you've done the self-help and you've dipped into some personal development, but now you ask the question, now what? What can you do? Well, if you want to escape the apathy, step right this way. So twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week personal development and training course. What people get out of it is multifaceted. There's curriculum, there's exercises, there's camaraderie, you make new friends. There's a whole lot of interesting things. We're going to hear a sample from the course right now, and let's take a look at the value these students are getting.
Richard, I had a question that kind of related to what you were talking about earlier with the quiet weapons for silent wars.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with an author by the name of Peter Zehan? He wrote a book called The End of the World is Just the Beginning, and he's talking about demographics and how it's the end of the globalization era because of the demographics, that people that lived in the rural areas, their children were effectively their workforce, and so there was an economic advantage to having more children. But then when they moved to the city and they did away with child labor, essentially children became a liability. And so just because they're moving everybody into the cities, there's a demographic change, and now we're getting to the point that the workers are all old and retiring, and there's really no workers left. But I'm wondering about what your thoughts are, in regard to like our community, and how we might change this, because we had this discussion in the homeschooling thing on the Leo broadcast on Wednesday. Was like when there's optimism, there's this hope for the future, and then usually more children come about, and of course if we bring up more children and we don't let them fall into the system that a lot of us have fallen into, there's a likelihood that we can have a lot of positive changes that otherwise probably wouldn't even be thought of, because children have that optimism and that creativity that a lot of us have lost because of the conditioning.
Yeah, and I think there's a pressing time scale on that whole phenomenon. Like, we have to work out our philosophical differences before the introduction of standard AI and robotics, because it's like the Matrix. In one version, in the earlier movies, the machines are terrorizing the humans and trying to kill them off because it's a zero-sum game. But in the newer movie, there has been achieved some level of symbiosis, right? And we're going to need technology to educate people on the scale that we need to educate people before people in charge implement technological solutions that can't be undone. And those philosophies which drive it top down as a track trace database, mass surveillance, mass slavery society, like that would persist for quite a long time. And I don't think you can beat the machines. You can't, like, you're going to have to achieve some sort of symbiosis in this dynamic as humanity goes forward. And part of that is through education of the next generation away from the indoctrination.
Everyone's doing some kind of self-help these days, and you can find a million self-help courses out there. Most other courses out there are hosting lectures, they're hosting videos, they're maybe even doing Q&As, and these are great starting points to encourage learning. But at Autonomy, we believe that hands-on practice is the best way to really lock in what we're learning. There's no better way to gain confidence and mastery than through action. After each lecture, we practice the concepts we've learned with other students, giving and receiving feedback in a non-judgmental environment. The result is mastery of concepts like entrepreneurship, ethical sales, and self-reliance in an environment that directly translates to the real world. Plus, you make connections with other like-minded individuals who are learning right alongside you, and you have a lifetime membership in the community. The Autonomy course with Richard Grove equips you with confidence, competence, and courage in a world filled with confusion and noise. You can learn more at getautonomy.info. We'll see you there.